everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble. We have some NBA news that we're getting into today, so make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Now, here's the Fumble squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Britt, representing for the Dodgers. You guys can follow me on all social media at Britt Johnson. Jackie, what day is it today? It's Taco Tuesday.
So I think once Chris is gone, that needs to be a ladies, what day is it today? And then we'll all do it.
It would be weird if Devin's just sitting there like...
I know, right? And then if she did hump day by herself, personally, I would find that hilarious.
Devin, what day is it? Hump day?
This sounds like the Fumble Ghost with Chris's voice in there, just like, come in.
I'd have to ask herself and answer.
I did want to say something really quick that I forgot to mention yesterday. Big congrats to Lewis Hamilton, who is now the leading most wins ever in Formula One history. That is so amazing. He has 92 wins now. And obviously it's not just huge because he is a young guy, but because he is black. And, you know, they always say black people apparently can't race and whatever. So all you young black men out there that like speeding around down the corners and whatever, you can be a Formula One racer, you could be a NASCAR racer, and you can kill the game at the same time. So congrats to him, because that was huge, not just for him, but for the entire community. So big up.
It's always been so weird to me that there hasn't been more black people in Formula One. It's not like driving a car is a skill set that everybody can. I really don't understand that one, but okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand that either. I've never understood that. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, I love him. I think he's such a great guy, and that's such amazing news for him.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes, I love him.
That's why Devin knows him. Devin was like, vegan first, Formula One after that.
I actually did hear of him because he's so big in the vegan movement, but then also followed him on Instagram and learned more about him. And yeah, I like him. Anyway, let's get into the news. You guys, let's talk about the NBA and how if they do start in December, as they are trying to, some Lakers players may not show up. So yesterday we talked about how the NBA is pushing for a December start date for next season. Right now, training camps are potentially being set to start December 1st. And Danny Green said that if they get this shortened off season like this, he thinks that most of the guys won't be showing up. So Leo, can you roll that clip for us right now?
Let me ask you, Danny, because this is going to be, I mean, the bubble was a unique situation, like, but now you're going to have to run it back. And they're talking about, you know, condensing all of this and trying to have that December 22nd start date. What are you, you know, like, where are you at mentally? Like, you guys are just coming off of it, but like, real talk, right? Like, so
December 22nd is not even mine. I think most guys, if they say we start in December, I think they're like, I'm not going to be there.
So he really feels like he's not going to show up. Players like LeBron, who prioritize rest and recovery, are not going to be there for that early start date. However, players in general and the Players Union are expected to be supportive of this earlier start date because it'll increase revenue by $500 million, half of which will go to players. So that's a lot of money for some of these athletes to walk away from. Second, I think a lot of players are wanting to get back closer to a regular season schedule so they can have their summers back. I know Dame Lillard tweeted that he'd be okay with that early start date if it meant he got the summer off. So yeah, like I mentioned before, training camps are set to begin on December 1st, or potentially set to begin on December 1st. So Chris, do you think that players actually will really not show up for the start of the season if it does start in December, as we're talking about?
I think theoretically, yes. I think they'll be there, but they won't be there. I definitely think that this is something that's going to be very real, especially for those teams I named yesterday, like the Lakers and the Miami Heat. And we might even see that trickle to some of the players, like I'm sorry, Britt, but like Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. Like it's going to be a thing because it's such a short turnaround that might be the case. So that being said, because they're also considering changing the NBA schedule up to be kind of like baseball, where to lessen the spread, teams would, like, if they play in New York, the Lakers would play the Knicks 2 times and then the Nets 2 times. Then they won't come back to New York for the rest of the season. That being said, I hope the Knicks are planted in Los Angeles for the beginning of the season, so we can get the weaker Lakers and the weaker Clippers, so we can have a chance. That's all I'm going to say on that. But no, I definitely think it is a possibility that some of these athletes for sure would sit out that soon if it does start, especially December 1st, even December 22nd. I definitely think that's definitely a possibility for sure.
Yeah, I love Chris. You had to bring in the Knicks.
Put it in.
Probably
put it in. Yes.
Once
Not
Chris is
actively, I'll
gone,
tell you that.
yeah. Knicks are never going to come up in conversation, I don't think. Jackie, so going to you for my next question. How do you think LeBron is going to handle an earlier start date? Do you think that he would take off more games during the regular season, or will he just sit out the start of the season?
So I hate to admit that I did spend a good portion of yesterday trying to figure out how we could make this work, because we kind of laughed and joked about the video of him and AD walking through there, and he was like, when you win, that's the time you don't get to go in the ice, and my body is on fire. So his body needs that time to recover. Like you said, he's big on rest and recovery. And I mean, and not just speaking for LeBron, you would have to have some sort of rest plan already implemented in your schedule. And we know, people already load manage anyway. But I think that when you're talking about the beginning of the season, that load manage becomes a lot more, like, you don't see as many veterans on the floor, because especially like when you're talking about LeBron and Kawhi and things of that nature, it's like, bruh, I just got done playing. Like, what are you talking about right now? So, and they haven't had that time to rest and recover. So I don't know, to be honest with you, because I would think that you go into the season, you probably do miss the fans if they're going to let fans back into stadiums or arenas. I feel like you'd probably want to be there for that. But at the same time, you don't want to risk injury at the beginning, because that's what we're going to see. And that's the thing I think we miss. We're going to see, it's going to be like the NFL. We're going to see a bunch more injuries because now you guys that have not rested and have not healed properly, they've not overcome little twinges, even if they don't have full-on injuries. A lot of guys have little baby injuries that they're nursing, and then they haven't healed from that properly. So now you're going to see more injuries at the beginning of the season. So there has to be some way. So I don't think it's just vets. I think it's going to be guys that are kind of hobbled right now that we don't really know it, that are going to be risking, injury or not wanting to come back. So it's not going to lend itself to good basketball, is what I really am trying to say. So I don't know how they're going to do this. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to ask the question, just thinking about it on this before we move off of it. Just with my comment about the Knicks, I was also thinking about like the Warriors, like with that same joke, because they're fresh. So now if teams like the Clippers and the Lakers do have situations where LeBron and Kawhi and them are not playing, even other teams aren't playing, the Warriors then have the opportunity to just jump out the gates and be back to, like we were saying, like they're going to be back in the mix. I was just thinking about that too. So yeah, there's just so many things.
The
Nets too, right.
Kyrie and KD. Right. So those guys are not tripping off this rest because they've been resting. But the guys that have been playing this whole time, specifically teams that were in the bubble, it is a problematic situation. They're going to have to figure out something so people can get the necessary rest and recovery that they need.
Right. Well, Britt, going to you for my final question. Do you think that the motivation of money, like I mentioned earlier, and that summer off season will be enough to get even the big name players to be okay with that early December start date? Or do you think there's still going to be problems going right into the season?
I wouldn't think so, because I mean, if they're getting half of $500 million, $250, there's like 450 players in the NBA, give or take, and they're getting an extra 250,000 or whatever the case is. Players don't care about that. LeBron spends $1 million a year on his body. His body is the most important thing, not that extra $250,000. I'm sorry, like that's what the players, some of them pay in taxes, they don't really care about something, especially any top top tier players, and the bottom players aren't even getting that big of a chunk of it. So I don't think so. I mean, and this is very drastic because it is from the last day of the NBA Finals to this December 22nd proposed start date. That is 73 days. Their normal is 140 days, give or take a few days. So like that is half of what they normally are used to. And even then, they have issues starting back up the season, and players aren't like fully rested even when season starts back. Because LeBron has even said, playing in 10, finals appearances, even having that 140 days in between is tough. So cutting that in half, it's not going to be okay. I don't think the players really would care about it that much. I think guys like Dame, who are still kind of younger, he's still in his actually just turned 30 this year. It's going to catch up to you real fast, my guy. Just letting you know that now. Those kind of guys, it's really going to start hitting them, a little harder the older they get, and a lot of the guys that their voices matter that are in these NBA PA meetings, those are the older guys, and I feel like they're just not going to go for this just because it isn't really that big of a cut for any of the players in this moment. So I feel like they should just rest it out and finish it up, because training camp's starting December 1st, and then you want regular season to start December 22nd. So usually we have a month of preseason, like usually, and I was talking about it before the show. Today, 4 years ago, was the NBA start date for the new season, because I just saw in my archives I was at the Lakers and Rockets game today of like 4 years ago, and before that they started October 1st, and before that they started training camp 3 weeks before that. So that is like not just starting the season quick, but everything in a really short span. I just don't think that makes any sense.
I'm gonna bring them up again, but at this point last year, the Knicks were 1-3. I'm just saying, for Britt's point, I'm just saying, like, we were already in the season. I'm just going to Britt's point.
Yeah, Jack, let him do it. We're not going to get it anymore. Let's let it happen.
Chris, I guess I do feel for the athletes who have not gotten to be on a court since March or even longer, because
those bottom
in that same instance, a body at rest kind of stays at rest. And yes, they had that little mini camp for those teams that didn't attend the bubble, but like they didn't really do any competition against anybody else, so they haven't seen like real time basketball since March. So that is I think it can negatively affect them too.
I agree. Completely agree.
Too long the time negatively affect.
Yep.
And I don't think the money is going to factor into it like that, because a lot of guys have incentives. They have incentive-based contracts too. So that $250,000,
right? That's facts.
Doesn't mean anything if I came out here early and get hurt. Like, what are you talking about right now? Y'all need to come up with something better than $250,000 if you want people to be like, okay, we're in. That's not it.
Right.
That's not it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the next news story, you guys, because obviously the start of the season and training camps isn't the only thing that's become complicated with coronavirus and the mid-season hiatus that we had to take in the middle of last season. Free agency is also confusing. So there are rumors going around that some free agents have already reached agreements for next season. Teams have always had a long history of negotiating deals in advance of free agency officially opening. And this year, with how complicated the situation is, and with all of these start dates and everything still up in the air, it pretty much encourages teams to get a head start. They're making verbal deals to accommodate for the shortened free agency period. So, Britt, do you think that leagues should just permit teams and players to start negotiating deals now?
Yeah, if you want to stop the confusion and stuff, because obviously we know the Lakers got in trouble for tampering. There's so many different things that have happened in past years of teams, talking to players before, because usually there are exact set dates. Like, this is the day you can start talking to players. This is the day you can actually sign players. I remember seeing that moment. I was at the Ritz-Carlton when DeAndre Jordan sat down with Mark Cuban about going to the Mavs. Technically, I didn't sign him yet, but I remember seeing the meeting. I remember it happened in the lobby. 2 days later, free agency opened up, and they tried to get him, but we all know the story, what happened with that. But like, to have those moments of like, that was legal to do that. He did it exactly when he was able to, and they tried to sign the deal exactly when they were supposed to, and all that kind of stuff. But to have everything so like when is the exact date for free agency? When is the exact date to start talking to players? When is the exact date to sign? What, like, that is all like confusing right now, and usually put teams in whatever could get in big trouble, and actually deals could get like revoked because of this situation, like, because we saw that with the Anthony Davis stuff, like before he actually ended up really securing a deal with the Lakers, like they got in trouble for that kind of stuff, the teams got fined for it. So I think it is like something that they need to set in stone, so there's no hoopla later about, well, so-and-so signed with this team, but they were actually talking about it on this date and they weren't supposed to. So I think they do need to make those dates way more clear and like just definite, and that is what it is, and we need to move forward. So securing, obviously, when season's going to start, I don't think is as important as securing even these like free agent dates and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. And Jackie, do you agree that the NBA is doing teams a disservice by not permitting deals to be made while everything stays up in the air?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you don't know what's going on, then let us just act as if, you know what I mean? We've got to act as if something is going to happen right now. We need to be able to do what we need to do. But you can't say, oh, because I just feel like it's going to be, like Britt said, everything's just going to be too quick. Like, now they're going to say, okay, this date is going to be this. Now you got to hurry up and do that. And I could have already had this done if you would just let me do. And I think all of us, no matter what our job is right now, we're kind of operating on this mindset of we don't know what's going to happen, so we have to get things done right now and just kind of move forward and have some sort of plan in place. And I think it's only fair that the NBA does that as well, because otherwise everything's going to be too quick and it's going to be a cluster mess. So yeah.
And then Chris, finally, what are your expectations for all of this? Is there any rumor that you've heard of that you think could actually happen? Like, what's your prediction?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm not a rumor guy. I don't like the rumors. I don't believe in said rumors. So no, I don't put any stock into any rumors. I do think that, there are. No, I'm not going to play along. No, there's no rumors that I do buy in on, but I do believe that we will see a lot more of rumors because of everything we've been just talking about just now. And it's going to get a little dirty going into free agency for sure, because of a lot of the uncertainty. But no, I don't. I don't have any rumors that I got any hats in the race on, because I don't play along. I can't play along. I don't like them. I'm not a fan.
All right. Well, that wraps up Need to Know News, you guys. So Chris, take us into the post up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition, and that is no rumor. This is facts. We are here with another Post Up, and we are starting off. And I have to shout out to my guy Robert Anderson in the chat, because he called me out talking about you met the Knicks mention quota for the show today, Chris. And I told him this wasn't a lie. I got one more for you, because the first Post Up is about the Brooklyn Nets and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I'm not going to get out of this without mentioning the Knicks, but I'm gonna let you wait on it, because it's coming. But first of all, we saw photos of the two of them out there working out together right there. They were in the lab, is what Bleacher Report put together. Yeah, they're over there doing the thing. Kyrie Irving pointing and whatnot. But what you can barely see is Kevin Durant's hair wasn't looking the best. To the point where everyone on Twitter had something to say about the little bald spot in the middle of the afro that KD had going on. Skip Bayless's burner account starting off with KD and Bron having a competition for whose hair will fall off first. Sorry, Jackie Ray, but LeBron is brought into a lot of these. And then the next one came in with, are we just going to look past that? Because they showed the bald spot and they got LeBron and AD laughing, but the response is my favorite part. He's like, nah, you can't use Bron for this one, though, LMAO, because you can't. Because if you turn this same photo around, LeBron James got a similar situation going on. Again, sorry, Jackie Ray, but moving on
minus the
from
fort,
that one.
minus the spiky fort. There's a spiky fort around the bald spot. At least
LeBron, at least his bald spot
is like all on the same plane. There's whole jagged edges.
You're right, but all that says to me is KD's ball spot's protected. What can we say about LeBron James? He took off the headband. The headband's not there to protect his ball spot anymore. So I don't know. I can't defend that one. They just didn't cut off the hair, Jackie. Just admit it. And that being said, Bank over here dropping this tweet saying they all have something in common. LeBron James, you can't see it because you guys did not need to see it, but his hairline was not looking good with that hair, the headband going on. Same for James Harden. We got the same picture of Kevin Durant, and well, if you look real closely, you can see that Steph Curry's hairline is, it's non-existent because there's just hair going out of his head and there's no hairline to be seen. And, I couldn't keep going without poking a little fun at you too, Britt Johnson, because this bank also followed this one up with this picture right here saying, if I can get it up, if I can get that picture, the next one. I guess we're not. Okay, I guess we ain't poking fun at Britt Johnson. I guess we're not poking any fun. Well, the picture was Paul George because it said it'd be the worst hoopers with the best hairline. Damn, shots fired. I'm a Paul George guy. But I had to put that in there 'cause it's kind of funny. PG do got a good hairline. But anyway.
One of the worst hoopers. What a hater. Bye, babe.
Well, speaking of haters. Yeah, well, I mean, he do got a good hairline. He did have it. Anyways, you're right. But speaking of haters, I can't go past this without being a hater for myself because we were talking about KD and Kyrie Irving, and they do play for the same team. And there were some people that had to remind them of what is possibly to come with the Brooklyn Nets, like this guy saying, "Ha ha!" Kyrie telling KD to stand over here while I go ISO with the ball and dribble it a lot. If 5 people collapse on me, I may just kick it out to you, as if Kevin Durant is just some role-playing player. I love the facts on this one. This next one is definitely my favorite of the bunch. This one right here. You guys, my Knicks quote is not done because I have to throw this one out there. Throw it up, Leo. Boom! How I feel about the Nets next season. Result of this experiment in the lab. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a dumpster fire I would know because I'm a Knicks fan. See, I could take it too. I hit it out myself. I could take it too. But the Nets, that whole thing, those two working out together, we'll see what happens next season. I'm not a true believer of what's going on, but hey, I could be proven wrong. We'll see. But something we did talk about a few weeks ago that is coming back in the news because now Little Man is speaking for himself was we talked about the whole situation between Dwight and one of his baby mamas and how she called him out after he had got his ring and everyone was celebrating him and she was really feeling a type of way because of where the bubble was and so on and so forth. That now, even though she had said that she was telling Braylon, which is his son, to, respect him and, still show love for him because that's your father and da-da-da. Well, here we are a few weeks later, and Braylon is just letting his true feelings fly. And I want to talk to you guys about that and see how you guys feel about that. But before we do that, I do want to play the video that he was in. He started it off by admitting that he, at this moment in time, really, truly does hate his dad. And he continued to say this in the video.
Once Layla gets as old as me, she's going to feel the same way. You don't talk to any of us. We made you a Roblox account so you could play with us when you're in Atlanta. We're here. Do you ever play on it? No. Don't ever play with us. Only time you do something with us is if we're with you, and that's rarely when we're with you.
And then he even continued to talk about that when they are with him, he then pawns them off to family anyway, so he's not even with them when they're with him. So this has become a whole thing that a lot of people are going back and forth on because there are those old school people who have a little bit of a problem with Braylon going out and saying what he's saying because people are saying regardless of how you may be feeling, that's still your dad. You got to respect your dad and this and that. But then there's also other people that are saying, no, little kid, talk your talk, speak your mind, let it be known, because this is all that's definitely going to be festering up in his head. So I heard Jackie just respond to it. So I'm going to come to you first. Which side are you lying on? Do you think that he is being disrespectful, coming out and saying what he's saying, basically speaking his feelings, or do you think he is right to let it be known how he's feeling about the situation?
So that's a thing that you hear a lot, specifically in our community. We cover the sins of our fathers. Don't say anything. You always have to have respect. That is definitely something that's prevalent in our community. But I think that's something that needs to die all the way off. You don't get to run around here and not be a good dad and still expect these kids to respect you. Respect is not just given because you donated your sperm in a moment in time. Respect is given because you out there being a good dad. Being a good dad is not just sending money, which we don't even know if he does that. Word
if
on
he's
the street
actually
is
doing
he
right.
But even if he did just send money, that's not being a good dad. Being a good dad is being there when your kids need you, so they're not shedding tears on social media. So this is seems like his way to reach his dad. That shouldn't be a thing. Your son should be able to pick up the phone and call you and say, Dad, I miss you. And you should be on the first thing moving to get to your kid. Because when you have children, it's not about you anymore. It's about those kids. And the fact that Dwight's not stepping up is so shameful because I feel like Tyra Banks, we was all out here rooting for you. And now we got this kid on Instagram that changes our whole perception of you. And it's not about our perception. It's about his perception. And you need to change that boy's perception of you like right now. This is so sad. I'm about to cry. Like I cannot, I love kids so much, and to see this is just heartbreaking. I can't. It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. And you said it perfectly. Like, you know, a lot of people feel the need to hide the sins of their fathers, and this is a situation where, you know, mom, she was doing the right thing in saying that and teaching her son to do that for sure. But at the same time, for him to speak out and he said in the beginning of the video, no one told him to do this. This is him talking. I can't really say that I had a problem with that with him doing that, because
you can hear the pain in his voice. There's no way.
100%.
I'm not even related to this kid, and I want to jump on a plane and go comfort him and play with him and do all the things he says his dad's not doing. This is not my child. How can you see something like that floating around on social media and not immediately change your ways? It's so shameful.
Yeah, that's the worst part. And like we said when we brought this up last time, this is unfortunately not new news. And I had asked Britt, I had asked everyone that, you know, you think if this is something that, you know, because this is coming out at the time that it came out, this is something you'll change, and nobody thought it would. And I stand by that. I still do. And like he even mentioned, you know, his little brother's gonna grow up and feel the same way. And it's just sad, man. It's just, and they're just two of the many. I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing is just rough, and I don't know. But yeah, let me know. I'm looking to chat. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this one. I'll definitely come back to see what is being said there. But we are going to take a pivot back to a more positive story. And this is one that is continuing off of what happened on Sunday, something that we mentioned yesterday. It was the very first post up yesterday, was the race, or not the race, was the DK Metcalf play where he pretty much raced down the field to track down Buda Baker to stop him from getting the pick six, and everyone was losing their minds. And of course, people were then thinking, like, is he the fastest wide receiver? Should Tyreek Hill be worried? Well, Myles Garrett is saying what a lot of us were thinking, and maybe because we talked about how the Pro Bowl is thinking about adding activities instead of the actual game, and maybe one of the activities should be a damn 100-yard race between Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf, and Myles Garrett is out here trying to start that conversation. He said, I'm going to need DK versus Cheetah 100-yard dash in the offseason. I think, you know what, let's do that as one of the activities, okay? Because I feel like at this rate, DK is probably going to get his first Pro Bowl nod, and you know, we already know that Tyreek Hill is definitely one of the more dominant pieces for the Kansas City Chiefs. So maybe that should be one of the said activities if you want to make it something where you want to add other people in it, so it could be whatever you want to do. But this is something I would absolutely love to see. I think that would be dope. My money is kind of on DK because I don't know, man. 22 miles per hour. That's something different. But we got to remember, we can't disrespect Tyreek Hill. But that'd be definitely something I want to see for sure. But Britt Johnson, talk to me. Do you think that this is an activity that should be added? Do you think this is something that they should just do in the offseason? Because we see a lot of these players show their offseason workouts regardless. And all that being said, who are you picking in this race between the two of them?
I'm picking the guy that has the best 40 time, which is Tyreek Hill. I'm definitely going with him because we're talking about there's a difference between game speed and there's a difference between a straight on, I'm running down the thing, 40 speed or 100-yard dash, whatever you want to go. So I'm going with Tyreek Hill on that one for sure. But yeah, this is definitely, I think I'm not a fan of them like getting rid of the game because it just doesn't make sense. And like, okay, how do you pick teams and who is a Pro Bowler now? Like, how do we do that? Because we usually have X amount of guys from the NFC and AFC, and you pick, you know, and there's going to be 2 tight ends or 2 whatever, and that's based on what you need to make a football team. And so it just doesn't make sense. Like, how do we do? Is then are we just now picking who our favorite players are in the league, and then just have them all compete against in random events? And they already do events throughout the week, so I don't know. I'm not for cancellation of the game, even though nobody watches the game. I just think they just need to do something better. They need to revamp it a little bit, maybe start getting you know, the players to be captains and pick their teams instead of doing an NFC AFC situation. Just like when they started picking, they had the coaches like Dion came in and Michael Irvin came in. But maybe do it with like the players, because the newer version, they don't care about Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin. Like,
exactly.
So maybe
that's what I said.
The players that are playing, like, pick the teams like the NBA has started to do. But I don't know. They need to revamp it, but I still need a game.
Yeah, don't get rid of it. Yeah, because then what's the equivalent of that? Then all these players find out they're Pro Bowl players, but they don't play in the game. Like, it just the whole thing is just a mess.
No,
I agree.
We're the best group to go play in a relay against each other. Like, let's
Right. Like, definitely keep revamping like the activities, like the dodgeball stuff, like for sure. Yeah. But let there still be a game. Let me have my option to watch it. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? I agree with you. I'm 100% on that too. But yeah, you're right on Tyreek Hill. And I think a lot of people probably would definitely side with you. But I don't know, man. Give me the underdog. I'll take DK. Give me the younger legs. I'll take the younger legs. But you're right. Tyreek does have the best 40 time. So that's not something to just completely forget about. But sticking with the football world, we do have to give a round of applause to the coach that gave me numerous headaches whenever we played against his team when he was in our division, and that is Ron Rivera. He is now coaching the Washington football team. But what's more important than football is the fact that, you know, we heard the scary news earlier in this season that, you know, he was diagnosed with skin cancer and he was doing treatments and, you know, he was low on energy. And then with everything going on with COVID and the masks and stuff that everyone was worried about him. But this past weekend, he had done his final round of those treatments for his skin cancer. So he is, you know, feeling better. He did the whole bell ring. There's a video and whatnot. But I want to point out his tweet the most because I love it because he's playing along with the meme that's going on. So he put up this tweet yesterday saying how it started with him, you know, not feeling well, but how it's going with him ringing the bell. And that's dope. So shout out to Ron Rivera. You know, football aside, whether you feel about a team as human beings and stuff like that, I'm very happy that he got through this for sure and that he's feeling a lot better. This is the end. It's done. No more. So shout out to Ron Rivera and shout out to the team that, you know, helped him out through that. So that was really cool news. Really, really cool news. I also got some other cool news for you guys right now. One real life event. I got life for you guys. Now this dude that's this world, the power to jam in the car that they instantly land on a stretcher. Watch this clip. Show the clip, Leo. Show him. Look at this. Watch this man. This man in the blue is a mutant. Watch this. Here it comes. Look at that. It's the hospital. Look at he's dead. He's dead. Call that FBI.
Go get it. I stole it, and I sent this.
Guy's thumb on his cheek, on his neck. Like, watch at the stretcher video. So his neck is perfectly fine here. Watch after. Look you can still see his finger on his neck.
That's a superpower, Britt. That's what that is. That's real life superpower.
I sent this to my best friend because I was telling her a story, and she was like, "Oh my God, how dramatic are you?" And I sent her this video because I wanted to know. I'm just dramatic.
I didn't notice that he's in the like he's dead. Like he is accepting he is dead in the stretcher. I don't know, man, but this is outrageous. Like he folded so fast. I don't know, but the quick cut. Oh my gosh, so perfect. Everything about that was so funny. Oh my God. I need that for back. Oh, that's so funny. But
when my sister and I would. Oh, sorry. I was going to say when my sister and I would get in fights when we were little, things would sometimes get physical, and she would hit me like that, and then I was the one flopping. This is like how I behaved as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old.
Mommy!
Oh God!
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that is too good. Now, I got a legend for you guys that is still going, and that is Tony Hawk. This man is 52 years old, okay? He just had his OG game on Nintendo 64 be re-released. What is it, like, what's the math, like 30-something years later? And this man is still out here skating like he is not aged life. Look how smooth this man is out there on. Look at this. Watch how smooth it is. Like it's nothing. Like it's just a walk in the park. Look at him. Slow-mo.
Oh
come on,
God.
man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Insane. 52 years old. Shout out to him for sure. I don't know, with the amount of surgeries, and I don't know how many bones in his body are actually still his, and what's metal and what's not. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
That's absolutely insane. So yeah, shout out to Tony Hawk. I gotta give him his props. And, you know, somebody else who's absolutely crazy, The Rock. I have nothing else to say about that because The Rock is just absolutely insane. And if you don't believe me, I know a lot of, you know, females like to drool over The Rock, but if you don't believe me when I tell you that this man is insane, especially when it comes to the gym, I need you to watch this video. Watch this guy.
All right, look, oftentimes things get intense here in the Iron Paradise, but we ain't playing tiddlywinks and we ain't reciting nursery rhymes. All right, you get lumped up every once in a while and things happen.
Oh!
That's good. That's real good. Back to work.
What? Hey, yo, look, bring back out, that's WWF, not even WWE, that's WWF, right. The Rock right there. That is, can you smell? That, when I saw that, I just feel like I was throwing, I thought I was throwing back on that one. That was insane, but that's The Rock for you. When he's in the gym,
you can tell. Did he say how it happened?
No, he didn't. He just
elbow to the eye.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this ain't tiddlywinks and what do you say? Bedtime reading stories. It's not. That's not what this is, Jackie. Right?
Nursery rhyme stories.
No, nursery rhymes. Yeah, that's not what this is. Okay, how it happened. What is?
Am I the only one who doesn't know what tiddlywinks is?
Ask The Rock. Ask The Rock. I don't know, but he's right. The word sounds soft because you're right. Yeah, Rock. This is not tiddlywinks. That's right. Tell us that's not tiddlywink. But I definitely got to wrap this up with some more positive. We had a lot of some positive stuff in today's post, but we ended with more positive news because we had the ladies of the Fumble here calling for this to happen. Now, we knew the news of Antonio Brown getting his signing with the retirement Hawks. So Antonio Brown got his signing. We said that was going to happen. We just didn't know what point and what team. He got his signing, and then Dez Bryant was right after. Because when that signing was happening, it was already rumored that the Ravens were looking to bring him onto the practice squad. But it is official now. He is a part of the Ravens practice squad, meaning that if anything, any kind of injury were to happen, he's going to be next man up. He's going to be slipped right onto the main rosters. But that's still huge. That's a big deal right there. And he is very, very excited, as he should be, posting this tweet on social media right after the news came out, and he put up, "My emotions are running high right now. I'm thankful. I can't stop crying," with the crying laughing emoji. But yeah, he's very excited about that. He had a lot of people that were showing love. This next tweet, pretty much coming from a Ravens fan, up in the jersey Photoshop. It looked clean. It looked clean, saying Les. He's definitely a diehard Ravens fan. Then we also had Fox that showed him some love, saying, "So happy for you, Dez. Let's get it." And then this fan, I just so happy to come across in the response. She had something to say about it too. She responded with, "All you asked for is an opportunity, and I'm so glad someone finally gave you one. Blessings, can't wait to see you take the field." And that is fact. So shout out to Britt Johnson that was in the. Yeah, there she goes. Yeah, there she goes. But yeah, so he's on the team. I definitely see him. It was, believe it or not, it was like the number one response. I think it's because I follow you, so I saw your tweet. But it was the number one thing. So I was like, yeah, I'll throw it in there. I think that'd be dope. But yeah, so no dope response there. But yeah, I think he'll probably get on the roster before the season's up. So shout out to Dez Bryant. Roll continues, and it's gonna be dope.
How humble he is to be so excited to be on the practice squad. You know, we talked earlier about Cam Newton being so, like, oh, why would he only take this much money when he deserves this much? Dez Bryant being on the practice squad, taking that $90,000 for the practice squad pay, like that, and him being so happy, like that he's brought to tears just because, like I said, given that opportunity. All he wants is that opportunity because he knows he's good. He knows he's going to be on a roster, like a 50-man roster very soon, or 51-man roster very soon, because he is that guy, and like just to get, I really love Dez. Like, I love that man.
And he's back.
He's so humble.
He's back.
To have the practice opportunity.
Practice squad spot.
He might end up being the only person in practice squad history that can sell out some jerseys, because I feel like everybody's online right now looking for them Dez Bryant.
Right.
Because that 88 in Ravens is actually pretty clean. That 88 in Ravens is actually pretty clean. It's pretty clean. So yeah, it might happen. But that's it for me on Post Up. I'm ending on that positive note.
Good
Oh,
job.
very well deserved. Well deserved. Great note to end the post up on. Jackie, now
Yes.
can you get us into what we not gonna do?
I thought you was going to sing. Yes, I can, because we're going to just start off with some stuff right off top. And what we're not going to do is exaggerate the damn truth, because we're just not going to do that, especially when it comes to my, by way of LeBron, Lakers. We're not going to do that. So you guys probably know, because we talked about it earlier when once again, if you forgot, the Lakers are NBA champions. And so a lot of Laker Nation went downtown here in downtown LA, and they partied and they did their thing. They beat up a guy who was disrespectful to Kobe. But they did all of that without masks on. So we kind of talked about it here. I only didn't go because of traffic, and I knew they weren't going to be wearing masks. But turns out that now this impromptu parade is being blamed for the spike in coronavirus cases that we are having here in LA. Now, if you don't know, it was a little over 1,000 people is what the Los Angeles Police Department is saying were downtown. They said they also arrested 76 people who were not following COVID protocols, which is funny to me because I live here in Hollywood and you can count on one finger how many cops you see wearing masks, but that's a story for a different day. But now Los Angeles public health officials are saying that that parade has caused this recent spike because they said before the parade, daily cases were around 900 per day. That's what we were averaging. And now, since the parade, we are averaging 1,200 new cases per day, which is great, except for the other cities that are having similar spikes are in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wisconsin, Wyoming, Alaska, and Colorado. They are seeing very similar spikes in those cities since early October, which is the same time frame since we've been seeing these crazy spikes. So, I mean, call me crazy, but I would bet my last dollar that no one from those states flew out here on that specific day, went to the Laker parade, and then flew back, because that would have to be what happened if we're going to blame this on us, because the Los Angeles Health Department fails to say if the people that they tested were at the parade. They failed to say if the people who were tested came in contact with somebody who was at the parade. Are they friends, family, coworkers, anything of that nature? And then in the very fine print, because I actually went to the Los Angeles County Public Health website, in the very fine print, they say that they can't actually pinpoint it to it, but it's around the same time frame. Like somebody in the health department just had a purple and gold heart over October 11th. And then October 15th, they realized this spike was happening and was like, oh, that's got to be it. That's not it. And I think it's irresponsible to say that that's what's causing the spike when we're talking about 1,000 people in a city that has, I don't even know what our population here. It's insane, though. But Devin, what do you think? I know that you are the germaphobe in the situation. Do you think that these 1,000 people who went downtown to celebrate the Lakers being NBA champions should be blamed for this spike that we're seeing in LA?
No, I don't think that you can just pinpoint it to that one situation. I'm sure that there are COVID cases that came about from that gathering, which is also a reason I chose not to go because, like you said, I'm a germaphobe, but we're also seeing people feel more relaxed in their own coronavirus precautions that they've been taking. More people are going out to restaurants. We're going into the winter time, the fall winter time, where they expected to see a jump in COVID cases. And like you said, there are states across the country that are very far away from Los Angeles that are also experiencing higher case numbers. So I think it's extremely ridiculous to say that, oh, it's because of the celebrations downtown. It's not. Maybe some, but you can't blame an entire spike on that one event. That's just ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. See? So even Devin, the germaphobe, agrees what we're not going to do is blame this on Laker Nation. That's what we're not going to do. All right. So this next one, you guys, I've been a Cam fan for years, for a very long time. And he's been one of those guys that I've always just wanted him to succeed so he can shut the haters up. But I think I had to come to terms on Sunday and accept that might never happen for Cam. Because if you don't know, he was benched in the fourth quarter. I actually sadly supported that benching because he just wasn't doing well. So Cam feels the same way, though. He's kind of embarrassed by what happened. He told Sports Illustrated, he said, quote, "For any type of competitor, you do feel embarrassed. Yeah, the first thing I said to myself coming home was, you keep playing games like that, bro, and it's going to be a permanent change." I think that's a fair assessment, Cam, because you're just not playing well. But oddly enough, right now, Belichick does not agree with that. Belichick says that he feels like he's the best at that position. And Belichick said, quote, "I think he's our best player there." So again, there are other problems offensively. There are things we need to do better. And that is what we're going to work on. I think we have our best player out there, which is crazy for Belichick to say that, because now this is the guy that had Tom Brady. So for him to say that about Cam Newton, I do think that says a lot. But to date, Cam Newton has completed 88 of his 131 attempts. Technically, that's not horrible. That is 67%. But what is horrible is he's only thrown 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So it's getting bad there for Cam Newton. And so there's a side of me that loves Cam Newton, so I'm inclined to make the same excuse that we were making for the Clippers. It's a chemistry thing. But the reality of it is he posted all these workouts, told us all he was ready, and he's coming out here and he's not proven he's ready. So I think there's a lot going on. But what we not gonna do is pretend that even though Britt gave up her pettiness, I'm sure it's just out in the atmosphere. And I feel like it landed squarely on Jeff Garcia, because this is his take regarding Cam Newton and his not so good play right now.
You go into this game, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You throw, 3 more interceptions? You get yanked in the second half. There's nothing good going your way. Why are you dressing like that to bring more attention to yourself? I'd be trying to ask the equipment managers, put me in your jock sock cart and sneak me in the back door, and I'll show up on the field and do the best that I can.
Jeff, this sounds like you're speaking from too much experience here. Okay, this sounds like you're speaking from experience.
This just goes back to a couple years of just watching this guy and seeing him at the podium, but yet what he's doing on the field does not translate to being that guy. And
So basically, according to Jeff Garcia, this all comes down to what he's wearing, which is funny to me because Jeff Garcia looks like he bought his suit at Ross, but nonetheless, he still has a job. So I don't think that we can really attribute this to what he's wearing. But in Petty World, you guys love to jump on this little bandwagon, and Twitter was all about that life. This first person said, I don't know about all this, but Cam Newton spends a lot of time trying to pick his next ensemble when he should be spending time practicing. My dude is trash. First and foremost, I can tell by the way he dresses, Cam Newton has a stylist. Somebody's picking these outfits for him. He's just offering suggestions. Next up, Cam does draw a lot of attention to himself for being a guy that hasn't done much in the past few years, again, with his outfits. But these go on and on and on and on. But, being the Cam fan that I am, I just decided to pick one that fit what I was thinking. And this user said this about Jeff Garcia. Not sure if Jeff should be offering fashion advice. What are those? You know what I'm saying?
Or what? What happened?
Right. I don't know what that is. Maybe it was an accident, and he just was like, screw it. It's laundry day. This is all I got. I don't know. Something. But this is my favorite tweet on this topic. This one comes from a guy named Joel Martinez, who says, on September 19th, 2004, Jeff Garcia completed 8 for 27 and 71 yards and 3 interceptions in a loss, giving him a quarterback rating of 0. I guess you picked the wrong outfit that day. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I think this one is so ridiculous. I saw someone in the chat says that New England doesn't even really have any receivers right now. So there are a lot of reasons why Cam is failing. What we're not going to do is blame it on his outfit, although I could probably do without the hair. We're not going to blame it on that either. So, Chris, do you have anything to say on the ridiculousness of these comments?
I do not. I do not. And look, I sat here and I was talking about Baker Mayfield dancing and having no problem with that. So I damn sure don't have a problem with what Cam Newton's wearing to and from games. So yeah, no, I think it's just wild, and people love to just pull anything, especially when it's a polarizing player like Cam Newton. They're gonna find something to hate on. This is another one of those things. And yes, I'm not listening to nothing that Jeff Garcia got to say about any kind of fashion or anything, even quarterback. And I'm sorry, I ain't gonna hear it. I'm not hearing it.
Right, out here with his Ross endorsement. We don't want to hear nothing of it. But now it's time to move on to Britt's takes.
Britt's takes.
All right, we are sticking with football. This situation had to do with some dance moves, though. So, Josh Hopkins was a football player for the Carolina Panthers. He was on the practice squad. He has a very familiar NFL career story, one that actually most NFL players go through, which is being undrafted. He was drafted in 2016, and then he went on to jump around to 6 different NFL teams in the last 4 seasons. 2 this year alone. He was originally signed with the Falcons. They released him on September 26th, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And then on October 20th, which was just a week ago, he signed with the Carolina Panthers. And on October 26th, yesterday, he was already released from the team for this video. Take a look.
Come on, man.
You guys remember that song? You remember
That's
that
my
song.
jam.
Yeah.
I mean, I was dancing along with him to it. But that video got him released, not because his dance moves were so bad or anything like that, or because he was dancing to a song that came out 10 plus years ago, whatever the case is. No. He got released because he was missing a key part of his uniform, his mask. Yes, he was released because he was dancing in a restaurant without a mask on. Now, I've done the Soulja Boy. I know some of you guys have too. I could see Chris and Jackie definitely have. You
That was
need
my
some
jam.
space. You need some space when you're doing that.
Right.
dance,
Someone will
okay?
get hit.
Whoa, yeah.
And I want to say already, this man was definitely 6 feet away from everybody else, because you need space to do it. So he wasn't really breaking anything. He was 6 feet away. Yes, he didn't have a mask on, but nobody else in that restaurant did either. And his own head coach has situations with the same thing. So before I guys some pictures, I actually want you guys don't show them that. Yeah, Leo, we got a minute for that, because I got a few for you guys. So you guys know, because I try to be as consistent as possible, and you guys know I am all about the Jimmy Johnson coaching style, and that is, I've said it a million times before, Jimmy Johnson, if there's a star player and they're doing something wrong, he'll go up to that star player and just tell the star player to correct it. If it's a not good player, or in this case, a practice squad player does something wrong, well, just go ahead and cut the player. That's what Jimmy Johnson does. I'm not about equality when it comes to football, when it comes to the you being good or not. If you're good, you get to do things, and if you're not good, okay, that's just, the adults get to do more stuff than the kids do, and that's just the way it is. That's how it is in football, and I think it should be in sports. Like, if you are a better player, then you get haven't made the team yet because he's on the practice squad. But this is not one of those cases, because as we know, Matt Rule ain't no Jimmy Johnson. I mean, Jimmy Johnson's won 2 Super Bowls. He's won an NCAA championship. He has been named Coach of the Year for the NCAA as well as the NFL. And he is a 2020 Pro Football Hall of Fame head coach. Okay, that Jimmy Johnson and Matt Rule, who is in his first season as a head coach in the NFL, aren't the same people. I'm going to give Matt Rule a little bit of leeway, because you got some time, my guy. Like I said, is your first season as a head coach in the NFL. So I'm going to give you some time to see if you could catch up with Jimmy Johnson. But I'm going to do something. The first lesson number 1, lead by example. And now we are going to, you guys, some pictures of head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule, not wearing a mask or not wearing it properly. He in trouble. At the beginning of the season, he was one of the 4 or 5 coaches I was talking about that decided to not wear his mask properly, yelling up in people's faces, all in refs' faces and stuff without masks. Even to this day, now that he has been fined for it and this, that, and the third, he doesn't actually wear the mask. He just wears the face shield, which how does that even work anyway? Because you're really just spitting everything out at the bottom. So any of your players that are sitting down while you're standing above them, you're just spitting your germs out onto them anyway. So that's in and of itself a whole different thing. But he has consistently not worn, for the first 4 weeks of the season, didn't have a mask on or wasn't wearing it properly at all. Yet he is cutting a player for not wearing a mask? Like, I am so confused here. I did my research on this because that's what I like to do. I like to make sure I know all avenues of this situation. There is not one thing in the Panthers rules or in the NFL rules that say players cannot go out. That is number one. Number two, I looked up the exact restrictions for Charlotte, North Carolina, at that Nico Japanese restaurant, which was the restaurant he was at. And I made sure I understood those rules to be like, okay, maybe there's something I don't know here. Since the beginning of October in Charlotte, North Carolina, they have rules there. They are now in phase 3, actually, of their COVID restrictions thing. So it's even looser. They've been there since the beginning of October, and they've actually extended it longer till like the middle of November because they have had still a decent amount of cases, but they're still in phase 3. And there's a laundry list of all the stuff that happens in phase 3, which means some of them include movie theaters are now open. Large venues like stadiums and arenas can be open. I think it's at 10% capacity though for the larger arenas. Smaller ones, they're at 25% capacity. Bars and restaurants can be at 30% capacity or up to 100 guests if they are outdoors. And then indoors, it's like 25 to 50, depending on how big the place is. So the place where he was at, they actually, and really honestly, most of Carolina, they have these rules of people being in locations and how many people can be there, but they don't even really have mask rules there. Like I looked up all of their stuff. You can walk around and not have a mask on. In LA, you can't do that. But in North Carolina, you don't necessarily have to have a mask on. And their situation there, they don't, with the team, they don't have a thing that says the players can't be out and whatever. So I don't agree with this cut, even though I am obviously like, I think common sense guys should have a mask on. I think common sense guys should do this, that, and the third. But we are looking at actual rules that the NFL has and that this team has, and he didn't break any rules. His own coach don't even follow whatever protocols they do have, which being on the field with a mask on actually is a rule that they have. Being outside and going somewhere and standing up and social distancing, my guy was social distancing, and not having a mask on is not one of the rules. So Matt Rule actually did not, he declined. They asked him about it. He declined to comment on it. He just said, we just made the best decision for what we think is in the best interest of the team. He did not want to comment on the non-wearing of masks and none of that because he is guilty himself. And I think it's crazy that a coach can literally cut a player for doing basically what he does all the time. Like, this is like the worst like representation of leadership. This is the worst double standard ever. I talked before about the coaches not getting in trouble for certain things that players would. Here is the perfect example of it. A actual coach on a team cuts one of the players on that exact team for not doing something that the coach doesn't do himself. This is crazy. Chris, what are your thoughts on this? I know you already don't like the Carolina Panthers, but what are your thoughts on this guy getting cut when their own head coach don't even know how to wear a mask?
I just hope he doesn't come to the Saints next because it seems like he's being passed around by the NFC South. But yeah, it definitely one of those situations where everything you name, where the team is not leading by example at all. Like, because the coach is definitely one of the, obviously GMs and whatnot, but coach is one of the main people in football that's going to make decisions that somebody's cut. So for him to go on and make that decision strictly on that, now mind you, I'm not a fan of it because there was a lot of people in the bar as well. Yeah, he had some space, but still wasn't a fan of that. But I wouldn't cut a player over it. Right. But I'm not cutting the player over it, especially when you got all of these photos that you easily found out about the same coach that did the cutting. So, yeah, I just feel like as much as I love Teddy, the Panthers just going Panther, and that's what I saw in the situation as well.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Jackie, any thoughts you want to add? Because I know you've been like, this whole time I've been talking.
Yeah. So I know, because to me, this is one of those things where it's like you almost wish the NFL had an HR department, because if this happened to one of us, if we got cut for wearing our mask and our boss was walking around the whole time not wearing a mask, we'd be like, okay, let me call HR right now, because what we not going to do is fire me for some stuff that, you know what I mean? So this to me, because we talked yesterday that the Roger Goodell had sent a memo beginning of this month to all 32 teams that said, if you're a player, when you're out and about, you have to wear a mask. However, that being said, the coach did not have to do this. So this to me is just a sign that there is a personal issue between these two guys. Again, if you had an HR department, you can't fire me just because you don't like me. I think the NFL needs to implement an HR department because this is ridiculous.
Not even know him. Like, he's literally been with the team less than a week. Like, maybe you should have told my guy that maybe you haven't even told him the rules yet, or like what's happening. Like, it's just so
that's definitely a conversation. That's definitely a conversation.
A conversation, not an automatic cut for sure.
Especially if he was in the same restaurant. Which is what I bet. I bet you he was in the same restaurant with no mask on, looking at him like, I'm gonna cut him tomorrow.
Probably recorded the video. Matt recorded the video.
I think that's what happened.
But definitely crazy. Obviously, tons of players have been dropping like flies in the NFL, so I'm sure Josh is going to end up with the team. He is technically a seasoned practice squad member. He is 27 years old and been on the squad or with the team. Like I said, he's played with over 6 teams. He played on the Dallas Renegades during the XFL this season too. And he actually had a good season. So I'm interested to see what happens. But I think he'll probably be on the Saints next. Chris is right. Saints.
Oh man, it's coming. He's being passed around.
It's for the retired crew, and for a practice squad member, 27 years old is kind of old for practice squad. So maybe he'll go to practice squad. But
he gets a cut. Yep. Buccaneers next.
Okay, you guys, so let's wrap up the show. We'll be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. So tune in, subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, wash your hands, and wear a mask. Please, everybody, don't forget to vote if you haven't already. Get your vote in, and we will see you guys tomorrow. And I think Britt wants to say to the Dodgers.
World Series tonight.